Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of the Low Budget Review Show. I am your host, Eric Smith, and today I'm talking about The Black Guy Dies First, Black Horror Cinema from Fodder to Oscar. This is by Robin R. Means Coleman and Mark H. PhD and Mark H. Harris, and it is from Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. So this is a nonfiction book, kind of a follow up. I don't know if it's considered an official follow up. I don't know, to Horror Noir, which was written by Robin R. Means Coleman, PhD. That book was all about blacks in movies, blacks in cinema, and it was very academic, easy to read, not academic in a bad way, but very much sort of an academic paper thesis, whatever, but book length. This is much lighter. It's not written in quite the same academic style, if that makes sense. And it's horror cinema, black horror cinema, from fodder to Oscar, from the best to the worst. The too long didn't watch of this is 5 out of 5 stars. I loved this book. It's informative, it's very funny, and that's one of the biggest differences is that there are literal jokes in this book. So it's not just an amusing turn of phrase or something. There are straight up jokes in this book. I laughed out loud a few times. And this covers, well, let me give you some of the chapter titles. I don't know if this will help at all. The first chapter is just called The Black Guy Dies First. And basically, this comes from, if there's anybody who doesn't know, this comes from the not quite accurate stereotype or trope that in a horror movie, if you have a black character, they're going to die first. So that's first chapter. The Black Guy Dies First. That's followed by The Other, it's in quotes, Through the Eyes of Others, Black Horror Stereotypes. Followed by Woke Horror, again, it's in quotes, Social Consciousness in Black Horror. Chapter 4, Gods and Monsters, Black Religion in Horror. Chapter 5 is Scary Funny, Black Comedy in Horror. And Chapter 6 is Representation Matters. So maybe that'll give you an idea of some of the topics that are covered in this book. One of the big differences between this and horror noir is this has lists of things. So right off the bat, in the introduction, we have the highest grossing black horror movies. Just a nice list of 25 movies. And then things like right off the first chapter, The Black Guy Dies First, starts with the Frequent Dyer Awards. There's some other stuff here, but then it has basically black actors who have died the most in horror movies. So things like that. Just these different lists, different asides, and it covers blacks in cinema from way, way, way back post silent era, so going into the talkies. I don't recall too much about the silent era, although when it talks about Nope, Jordan Peele's Nope, the two main characters in that are the descendants of the black man riding a horse in what is considered to be one of the first, or the first, I don't remember the details, moving pictures. So obviously that's a silent thing. So there's a little bit about that in there. But, it covers how black actors and black characters both were treated, portrayed from those early days up to now. And it does cover a lot of information that's also in horror noir, but again, it reads less academically. It is much funnier. It has these lists, and it's just I found it fascinating. I loved horror noir. I believe I gave that 5 out of 5 stars. This is a great, whether or not it's official, it's a great companion piece. and um, it's just it's if you're interested in just the history of horror in cinema or cinema itself, and of course specifically black representation or black people, black horror cinema, it's a must read. It's just a fantastic book. When I found out this was coming out, I immediately put it on my wish list. I bought it as soon as I had the chance, and but it's been sitting there. I wanted to read horror noir first, and then I just have so much to read, but it seemed like it was a good time to read it. I had read something rather heavy, and knew I was reading something rather heavy next. Planned on after that. I wanted something in between, and so this seemed like a good piece of non-fiction, interesting. 5 out of 5 stars. The Black Guy Dies First. Just a great, informative book. I don't know what else to say. There's no plot to talk about. Um, it moves across the decades. It talks about black exploitation. It talks about sort of where the trope of the black guy dies first might come from. It talks about the stereotypes. Like I said, one of the chapters talks about stereotypes, and it gives you sort of basically a list of the stereotype, what type of character falls under that, and talks about how some characters in the movies might fall under multiple stereotypes. They might be a scaredy cat as well as the best friend or whatever. Let's see. Where are the stereotypes? So it starts with. I'm just going to go over the first few stereotypes, just what they're called. The first one is the spook, and this one essentially, I believe, is the black character that's overly frightened by things. In old movies, bugging out eyes, just freaking out, very scared. And then the next one is the Ooga Booga, which is the savage African stereotype. And then the witch doctor, the magical Negro, which is something I've talked about before, the sacrificial Negro, and then on and on, different stereotypes, and it gives you examples. So let's just go back to um, the spook. We go back to like Sherman Helmsley in Love at First Bite, LaWanda Page in Mausoleum. Let's jump ahead. Uh, Stephen Williams in Route 666, Mike Epps in Resident Evil Apocalypse, Tyler Perry in Boo, a Medea Halloween. A lot of Tyler Perry in here because of those Medea Boo movies. So it gives you examples of each stereotype, and then there's a whole section in memoriam, a tribute to sacrificial Negroes. Repackaging, it's got this nice little section that has you had a black exploitation and how some studios tried to repackage their movies to um, what's the word I'm looking for, to cash in on black exploitation and stuff. So you had a movie called Nurse Sherry, which has a white woman in a nurse's uniform, and then a couple people looks like they're digging a grave. And then it was later released as Black Voodoo, which now has a black woman in a nurse's uniform and two people digging a grave. You had a movie called The Beast Must Die, which was later repackaged as Black Werewolf. It's just, again, really fascinating, interesting information. Um, oh man, a lot of stuff about the Purge series, which is really interesting. I don't want to tell you what it has to say about the Purge movies, but there's a lot of stuff about it, and I found it very interesting. And I've actually not seen all. I've seen the first three. I have the first Purge, but I haven't watched it. And I don't think I even own the Forever Purge. I'd actually have to check. Um, but I'd like to watch that as well. I enjoy the Purge movies. Of course, talk about Jordan Peele's stuff, the old Candyman, the new Candyman. Again, all of this stuff. It's all in here. The Black Guy dies first. Um, excuse me. So 5 out of 5 stars. Fantastic book. Question for this video. Let's keep it simple. Are you a fan of Jordan Peele's movies? Have you seen them, first of all? So we've got Get Out, Us, and Nope. Have you seen them? Have you seen any of them? Have you seen a few of them? All of them? And what do you think of them? And I suppose, do you look at them simply for whether or not they're entertaining, or do you look at the deeper social commentary that's in the movies? For me, I'm a fan. I've always been a Jordan Peele fan. I loved him and Keegan-Michael Key when they were on Mad TV, and then I loved their show Key and Peele. And then, so I was very excited to find out Jordan Peele was going to be making horror movies, and I love all three. I think it's weird. I between Get Out and Us, I think they're pretty balanced as far as people's favorites. I think some people like Get Out. That's their favorite of the three. Some people, Us is their favorite of the three. I don't know many people that think Nope as their favorite of the three. I think it's his least well received. I could be complete. This is just my perception. Things I've read, things I've heard. I think it's the weakest of the three personally, and that's not the best way to put it. It's my least favorite of the three, but I still love it. I think all three are great. I think they're well written, well directed, well acted, fantastic movies. I think the message, the social message in Get Out is probably strongest. The message in Us is there, but I don't think it comes across quite as strongly as in Get Out. And then in Nope, you might have to dig a little to find the message, which is fine. I don't want to be slammed over the head with it, but I'm a fan. I can't wait to see what he does next. I'd love to see him do comedy, but I love seeing him do horror as well. And yes, I love it. But what about you? What do you think about Jordan Peele's horror movies? Let me know in the comments below. Comments are I feel like, let me know in the comments below. Comments are open for spoilers. Just post a spoiler warning. We try to be polite here at the Low Budget Review Show. Lost track of where I was. Please like, share, and subscribe. All the usual YouTube stuff. Oh, if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. That's where I'm supposed to say. See, all out of whack here. But yeah, if you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put those in the comments below. If you'd care to follow me on other social media, my Twitter is @Ronan5757. My Instagram, where I post pictures of books, comic books, board games, and fuzzy animals, is EricSmith5757. And that's Eric with K, ERIKSMITH 5757. If you're on Blue Sky, I am @ELSmith. That's all I've got. This has been the Low Budget Review Show. I have been Eric Smith, and until next time, read more books.